American Christian nationalism gives you a story that can help garner more power and authority. And it's usually around fear-mongering. I had one pastor say, so what are you saying? Just being white is a sin? Authoritarianism always eats itself alive.
Yeah.
And when that day comes, and may it be in our generation, will those who take the name of Christ be ready to participate in the restoration of Christian witness in our community?
Yo, 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 what's going on? We are back with another episode of the Unsilent Church podcast. And we got the crew up in the building. V.
+1.
What's up, man?
James.
We in here.
You said +1.
Yeah, the crew +1.
We got a special guest in the building.
It's true.
We got the man. He is an author. He is a pastor. He is a what's that word did you said earlier? I can't even pronounce that.
A rhetorician?
A rhetorician.
A rhetor?
I don't even know how to, whatever. Caleb Campbell, what's going on, man?
What's up? Glad to be here.
Well, Caleb, you're pastor of Desert Springs Bible Church.
I am.
We mentioned the author. We should mention the book, Disarming
that's right.
Disarming Leviathan, published by InterVarsity. It's done very, very well.
Over 10,000 copies.
Oh,
Yep.
wow. Praise God.
10,000,
That's awesome.
right? Yeah.
Amazing.
It's like a great album, you know? Great. That's nice.
And also you have Disarming Leviathan Ministries, right? So that's something you started in the wake of the book.
Yeah.
You have some other organizations you're involved with? Do you want to mention
So
those?
many
No.
things. J29 Coalition is a national organization that training and collaboration for pastors.
Great. So yeah, you're involved in a lot of good things. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to, obviously the book has done very well, but it'd be good for people who maybe, for those people who aren't familiar with the book, what it's about, what prompted you writing it. Yeah, let's start with there.
Yeah, so I am the lead pastor, as you mentioned, Desert Springs Bible Church. In 2015, I became the lead pastor. By the end of 2020, 80% of the people who were there, 80% of the people who were there in 2015 had left by the end of 2020.
Wow.
A lot of them left loud. And the reasons for which were centered around issues like for immigrants, talking about racial justice, talking like not taking a culture war stance on spicy issues, not endorsing candidates. These were reasons why people chose to leave. Accused of demonic, leftist, or Marxist, and things like that.
And many of them left for churches that would do that kind of thing.
Yeah, so in our area in North Phoenix, there's Turning Point USA is kind of headquartered out of Dream City Church, which is 3 miles down the street from where I pastor. And then Mark Driscoll, Trinity Church, is 7 miles in the other direction. And then there's a bunch of other churches in the area that have taken an explicitly culture warrior posture on cultural issues and cultural engagement. And so many of the folks wanted to sit under preaching that, you know, kind of was more in line with what they were seeing on YouTube, Fox News. And so that was very disorienting for me because this is the church I met the Lord at in 2001. These were my people. So not only to see them leave, but also to be accused of doing something ungodly is going on. And so I set about the work of trying to figure out what was going on. And in 2021, early of 2021, I started to see that all these disparate bits were actually part of a larger movement that was impacting people that I ministered to. Especially right after January 6th of 21, the language of Christian nationalism was being used to describe the whole thing in ways that helped me understand, you know, these are not just flare-ups individually, but it's all part of a larger thing that's happening. And so I wanted to fight this thing. It's in my neighborhood, it's in my community, it's hurting a lot of people. I mean, pastorally, lots of families were splitting apart, as well as churches. And my initial response was that this is a heresy to fight and defeat. We could just out-Bible false Bible claims, would win. And, you know, everyone would go back to normal. And had set out to kind of think of it through that lens. And then started meeting people who were part of this movement. And it was very convenient because they were hosting monthly rallies down the street. And started to see that many people were not really thinking their way into the movement. They were feeling their way into it. It felt good. It felt safe. It felt like there was belonging and purpose. And moreover, there was people being discipled in this movement. They were their churches were, propagating it, the books they were reading. So for a lot of folks, they just thought this is what Christianity is. In their imagination, there was not a shift that happened. It just was Christianity. And I started thinking then, just through some encounters with folks, that these people don't need an enemy to fight them. They need a missionary to reach them. And so applying a lot of the missiological tools that I had received over time in my theological development, now recognizing American Christian Nationalists as a people group to reach missionally. And what came out of that was initially just going to be a small group guide for my church, because the number one pastoral question I was getting in 21 and 22 was, what do I do with Aunt Betty? She's so sweet and kind and gives Werther's originals out to the kids at church. And now she's yelling and screaming at the 12-year-old's birthday party about lizard people running the government and 25,000 immigrants coming in to rape and take our jobs. So how do I talk to her? And so what became the book, Disarming Leviathan, started as an answer to that pastoral question that I was getting. And now has really developed into a ministry that helps equip theological evangelicals to talk to friends, family, Bible study, whatever it might be, when this stuff flares.
Yeah, that's great. So you wrote the book. What year was it that came out?
4th of July week, 2024.
2024. So here we are 2 years later, right?
Yeah.
Almost to the day.
Yeah. Where are things at?
Well, I'll have you know that
So
we have
Christian nationalism went away, right?
fixed. So the big impact for me and what I'm clinging to is not the amount of people who've repented and believed. I can't see that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the amount of people who have said and emailed or communicated with me somehow, social media, that it gave them a healthy Jesus-centered way to behave.
Yeah.
Like people feeling stuck, feeling confused, feeling like, am I the crazy one? And then what do I do? And so a lot of what I think is a win for me is people feeling empowered that they can practice the way of Jesus with people who are misusing Jesus' name. And that, like, connecting of the dots, hearing people being encouraged, like, oh, I've got a roadmap, I've got a way forward. That I've seen, I've got hundreds of those emails and messages.
Oh.
That's been really encouraging. And for me, helping people discern the win, not being that Aunt Betty changes her mind, but that I was like Jesus in all of my encounters with him.
Yeah.
And that I was thinking missionally. That's the win, because that's what I can control. I can't control Aunt Betty.
Yeah.
What's the story that you've gotten so far that was like, oh wow, I didn't expect that?
There are people who I would have categorized as Christian nationalists who found the book to be very helpful in talking to some of the people in their life. And I didn't want to tell them, like, oh, I thought I had you in mind. Actually,
that is interesting.
That's been surprising. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
I did expect pushback, and I've gotten some kind of from, like, people like Doug Wilson have not appreciated some of the things I was trying to do with the book.
For context, Doug Wilson is the one who wrote the book, The Sin of Empathy. So
No, that's
No.
That's Joe Rigney.
That's Joe. Yeah.
oh, Joe Rigney, sorry.
Yeah, Doug.
But he's Joe Rigney. Doug Wilson is like a mentor of his.
Close with no
and-
cigar.
Yeah.
He's a pastor in
the same orbit.
Idaho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, one of the more prominent advocates of he calls he has a term for it, like a mild Christian nationalism. He sort of has, he's very good with his words.
Yep.
So-
no, I
He said,
remember.
is that the guy that said
Amir-
the stuff?
Is he the one about the
about the
voting?
slavery? Is that the guy?
Yeah.
About,
Yes.
yeah.
Sort of saying slavery maybe wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
Okay, for context, Doug Wilson's the guy who said slavery wasn't that bad. There you go.
And that it was biblical.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that the southern states, I don't think he even calls it the Civil War. He calls it the war between the states, right?
The War of Northern Aggression.
God.
War, that's right.
Wow.
Anyway, go ahead.
So for context,
But
That guy.
he did a series of videos interacting
Yeah.
with your book.
Yeah, and so that was expected. A lot of the pushback has been around, so you're saying we shouldn't have Christians in public office, or we shouldn't, it's kind of misunderstanding or misrepresenting what I'm trying to argue.
Yeah. And I've read the book, and you clearly address that, which is
Thank you.
But anyway,
So what was maybe some of the discouraging things from, the book and the last 2 years of, did you mention the encouraging things, stuff that you wasn't expecting?
Some of the sad bits have been people that are close to me who would say things like, I love you, I hate your book, and I hate what you're trying to do. I can't get behind it. Or pastoral peers accuse me of selling out. You used to be so strong on the gospel, but now you've gone in this direction. And I think misunderstanding what I'm trying to argue. I mean, I had one pastor say, so what are you saying? Just being white is a sin? Which I didn't even get anywhere near that conversation in the book. But I think because of the broader water that we're swimming in, to speak out against American Christian nationalism, the assumption is that that also means all these other things that are in their database that kind of get implied. And that's disheartening.
Yeah.
A lot of times I found myself, especially with peers, being like, what part of the book is the problem? And it's usually guilt by association. Well, someone else spoke out against Christian nationalism and they're this way.
So they probably didn't even read the book, most likely, some of them.
I would be happy if they bought it because I'm a capitalist, but I would love it if before the accusations about what I wrote, that they would read what I wrote.
That's
from me and not from someone else saying what I wrote.
Right.
I think that's
That statement was really funny. I'm not going to go into it, but that was funny.
So this brings us into sort of the thing we wanted to really dig in on today. So, which we'll touch on Christian nationalism, but we were interested in hearing your thoughts on authoritarianism, which seems to be something that, and maybe I'm posturing it this way. On one hand, it's maybe an alternate track development that's happening alongside Christian nationalism.
A cousin
to some degree. Maybe it's independent of Christian nationalism, but to some degree, it seems like the rise of Christian nationalism. And I think I would say this. I'd say your book came at a right moment because, if anything, to some degree, it has a louder voice than ever before, and has drawn more people to it. I don't think it's going away. I wonder if Christian nationalism is maybe the soil from which now authoritarianism is now more widely justified. And I think particularly for our purposes, I'm amazed by how Christians are justifying some aggressive forms of authoritarianism, which, we'll get into this too in terms of what's good or bad authority. But I'd just be curious in terms of, have you given some thought towards that aspect of what's happening right now, authoritarianism, in relation to Christian nationalism?
I think that American Christian nationalism is a flavor of authoritarianism that it's a helpful worldview and framework for authoritarians.
Okay.
It's not the only way.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
There's militant versions where it's just, we're going to dominate through like mowing people down.
Yeah.
Right. American Christian nationalism gives you a story that can help garner more power and authority. And it's usually around fear mongering. And then the promise of, if you give me more power, I will assuage your fears. So just to nerd out for a minute on missiology, which every listener right now is on the edge of their seats. I can feel it.
With bated breath.
So
a rhetorician dissects missiology. Get ready.
There's a YouTube title.
Today on PBS at 3 p.m. So yeah, that's like a C-SPAN thing. Okay, so if you think about cultures, people who think about mission work recognize that there's three, they would say their categories, three basic cultural power structures. So there's one, which is guilt and innocence. So you care about being innocent, you fight to be in a state of innocence, and you avoid being guilty. A lot of the West has a guilt-innocence framework.
Yeah.
You go to places in the East, like Japan, you have an honor and shame.
That's right.
So you are striving to be in a place of honor, and you would avoid at all costs shame. Gospel presentations sound different in those different environments. For instance, in the West, you have a lot of, you have broken God's law, and Jesus is making it so that you're now innocent. In an honor shame, it is probably best argued, you have brought dishonor to the Father, And because of Jesus, you can now enter into a place of honor. But there's a third that often gets overlooked, and that is fear and power. So in tribal communities, fear and power. You want to avoid fear or being vulnerable, and you want power. When you think about leadership in the West, are they innocent or guilty? We talk about presidents being innocent or guilty, things of that nature. In places in the East, when you think about who our leaders are going to be, are they bringing us honor or are they bringing us shame? If they did something shameful, even if it's legal, it's shameful, and we don't like that leader anymore. In a tribal community or that type of culture, do they make us feel safe and powerful? It doesn't matter if they do stuff that's not right, or even if it's shameful, as long as we feel like we are empowered. And authoritarianism leverages the American Christian nationalist narrative.
That's good.
Which speaks more to the tribalistic fear power component. And if you look at the American Christian nationalist movement, tribalism is at play. It's us versus them. We need the power over them. It's not about guilt, innocence. It's not about honor and shame. Those things are certainly there.
Clearly not about guilt.
Clearly not about
clearly
guilt.
about That's
and you will listen to people, and they will say things like, "I know what the leader did was wrong,
but
or illegal or whatever, morally ambiguous, and I know that it was shameful. I would never allow my kids to exhibit that behavior. But he's our man, power,
protecting us.
Authoritarianism,
he's God's man,
leverages that.
I would argue too,
right? Leverages that instinct.
Yeah. So, I mean, to be fair, then I think we're seeing it mostly now in a Christian nationalist environment. We think we have a lot of political leaders who swim in those circles, or at least adjacent to those circles. Is it fair to argue this is not exclusive then to Christian nationalists, that there is, I mean, there is a leftist version of this as well, right?
Totally.
There is, I think it's helpful to sort of say, like, what we're seeing is something now I think we need to address what's going on currently. And maybe it's interesting to suggest are some, like, is Christian nationalism more conducive towards this? But it is worth saying that, like, it is, you know, there's aspects of this that you can see in other environments where you could say, like, yeah, they're coming to get us, and that get us could be any group of people,
right?
From coming from the right or from the left.
You do not need the Christian lexicon or iconography to consolidate power.
Yeah.
It's helpful if the majority of the people that you're trying to consolidate power over feel safe with you and feel like that you're their guy. And one of the ways to do that is to use the lexicon and iconography of the things that they cherish.
Yeah. But then in saying that, though, I think that's, though, even given that, it does feel more dangerous when it's coming from American Christian angle, if I can put it that way, because of how, well, let's say a secular environment. So yeah, let's say some of the worst parts of, like, Stalinist Russia, right? Yep. Atheists, right? And had definitely aspects of power and fear,
100%
leverage there, right? Some of the things happened during the Cultural Revolution under Mao, right? Those kind of things. But there's something, I think, that feels more dangerous when you're marrying religion to it. Is it right to say that?
My sense is that in any authoritarian regime, it is in your best interest to find what the people care most deeply about and leverage that. Oh. And so if you are in
get the people what they want.
Or promise them that you will give them what they want. And then just keep telling them it's the other team's fault that you haven't produced
done it yet.
I think in a technocratic society, you can have statements like, we are going to be the most advanced race. So thinking about the fascist regime in Nazi Germany or Mussolini's Italy, certainly they did a little bit of crosses, a little bit of Bible stuff, a little Jesus, but by and large, the talk track was in the 1920s, 30s, post-industrial revolution, like, we are going to be the most advanced.
Yeah. So
it's more rockets, faster trains. And people are like, if that's what they want and you can give it to them, something of it.
In the 1920s and 30s. I mean, this is literally fast forward 100 years. It's the same. It's the same talk track.
Yep.
We're going to get there first. Rockets.
Yep.
Technology. It's the same conversation. And like, I don't know if you've been following Ray Dalio. even from a market's perspective, they're saying the exact same thing. They're like, oh, this has happened before. Go back to the roaring 20s. It's the same, like it's almost 100 years apart. And they're going like, look, 100 years ago, it's the same thing. Like a lot of the same conversations, same thing, markets doing the same thing. And then he's going, so then he's not the only one there's someone else has written a book called 1929, I think. Again, just talking about like what was happening then and a lot of the conversations, you know, you look now 100 years later. And again, the fact that you just said rockets, trains, I mean, we're not talking about trains, but we're talking about rockets, electric cars, autonomous vehicles, robots, like super intelligence. There's going to be abundance. And that is the purveying, like constant, relentless promise.
I would also notice that the majority of wealth in this culture and community seems to be centered around technological advancement. And that's who's in the White House, sometimes with chainsaws. And if you think about what's the incentive structure for them to back an authoritarian regime, well, now you get to lose the levers of government to propagate blatantly shameful and unjust things for the advancement of our tech, which is for the advancement of our pocketbook. And here we are now once again introduced to our old friend Mammon, who is at the root of this thing. So regardless of if crosses are used or other religious iconography, it's always in service of another God. And the reason why I would give why I would give an authoritarian power is because they can get me my God.
Yeah. So in saying this, though, I'm going to pretend to be someone who wants to fight back on you on this. You know, could you imagine someone saying, "Well, so Caleb, are you saying it's wrong for me to love my country and to be, and as part of my love of my country, I want like for my streets to be safe and for there be jobs and for." Is it wrong for me to want America to have the most powerful military so that we can keep our country safe? Like, what are you trying to say here? What's wrong with leaders trying to promise that for our country? And all the better if these religious are saying they're seeking God as they try to do that.
Sure. I don't know that I would frame it around right and wrong. I would rather frame it around wise and unwise. Okay. The desire to have clean streets and safety from enemies, foreign and domestic, good desire. And I hope we can get there. And I think we should all work together to get there. And I think that part of working together means that certain people are empowered to manage, distribute goods and services. I mean, I'm born and bred American. I believe in our experiment here.
Yeah, look at your hat.
I'm wearing a hat that says America.
I was like, that hat's going to come into play at some point.
I am not, and I say this more as an American and not as someone arguing from Scripture, but as an American, I like what we're trying to do here. And I see a lot of wisdom in it. And I also see a lot of failures. And one of the ways that we've failed as a people is we've not learned from others and their failures. So the desire for those things is good. The temptation to put an emperor in power or a king or an authoritarian in order to get us those things, this would be the wisdom part. Show me a time that that's worked, where it's for the good of all the people, and it's in alignment with our core values and principles as a people, right? Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that business. All men are created equal. Show me a time in world history where we've consolidated power in an authoritarian regime and it worked. It just doesn't work. And I think now biblically, there's that bit where, God's people cry out for a king and God says, you know who will be the best king? The kind of king who doesn't consolidate power, the kind of king who gives of themselves for others, who doesn't trust in chariots, but trusts in the Lord and doesn't acquire, gold and horses and, multiple international connections and it's the kind of self-sacrificial king that would give their life for you, And the people are like, nah, bro, we think
not good enough.
We think we're going to be different. We think our king is going to be different because of course we can deceive ourselves into doing that because we really want these things that the king promises. And then the wisdom of Scripture is it does not work It doesn't work over and over and over and over again.
Read repeatedly.
Then you get to Jesus, who says the kingdom is here. Here's this kind of king that we need. And the question for Christians today is, this hope that you have, do you think a human king can actually do those things? Give you ultimate safety, belonging, and purpose? I don't think they can. I think it's a categorical error to trust our peace, our safety, our belonging, and purpose to human kings. And so I think the Christian gospel, that the kingdom of God is here, is the answer to those desires, not the next person who runs for office.
I think oftentimes the trouble I have with the things that we see or the decisions that are made to put certain people in power who are is not because of maybe the general body of Jesus followers, it's the leaders. Mm-hmm. And when you go, these leaders have read all that. They've studied these things. They've gone to seminaries. They've done debates. They go to conferences and ETSs and exegete the scriptures and know Greek and Hebrew and Latin, and they know all these stories.
Yeah.
And then they still keep making these decisions. It's hard for me to like unwind in my mind and go, I can't understand how you've done all this work to study these stories over and over again because you teach them. And when it comes to make a decision, you make this one. And then try to justify it as if we ain't read it too.
Yeah.
Like as if we're reading a different book all of a sudden.
Yes.
And I'm like, because what you just said is what they would teach. Like I remember 2015 watching a pastor who told us in a program, do not preach politics from the pulpit. But that election cycle, he was preaching, direct politics and said, no, this is our guy, despite everything. And this was a guy who was always integrity and discipline. You just got to do it. If it's hard, that's what it is. That's the nature. That's our walk. That's our path. That's what we do. And I was like, you taught me that. So then when I see what I'm seeing, I'm like, oh, this is easy. This is easy math, right? Like these don't add up. But then I see this man get in his pulpit, in his bow tie, and go, this is our guy. And I go, I can't
understand it.
So when people start deconstructing, I'm going like, well, duh.
Yep.
Why not?
Yes.
Because it doesn't make sense. So I'm trying to like, well, how are people missing this so much? And it's not people generally. I'm like, leaders in droves seem to be just off the mark on this. And I can't understand. It's hard for me to process how they get there.
Well, it seems like that fear and power dynamic that you were talking about, it seems like that's at play.
I mean, obviously I've tried to like generate theories in my mind of like, what is it? Right? Like I know the Pharisees at the time, they were close to power. And I mean, they were the ones who delivered Jesus they delivered him to the state and said, hey, get rid of this guy because he's messing up our thing. I'm like, is that what's going on? And I'm wondering if you from your experience over the years, having written this book, having, traveled, spoken, been in the spaces, like what do you hear? How do you make sense of what's happening?
Beware, for in the last days, there will be those who will come in and say whatever they need to say to tickle your ears. And they will have the form of godliness, but deny the power therein.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And they will seduce people.
Wow.
And I know that I'm tempted to do that too. I know that I currently am pastor at a church. Every Sunday, people show up in a room and listen to me. And when the budget's funky, and when the staff's not great, and when I don't feel confident in who I am as a person, I know tricks that I could do to manipulate that group of people, to making the budget right, to fixing the staff, rallying behind me, to give me accolade. I know the line to say that will get applause so I feel better about my insecurities. I think whatever that is the same reason why I would give myself over to anything that's contrary to my own convictions. Why would a person say one thing and do the other? Because we keep reaching for the fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I think it's within each of us. And Jesus seemed to expect that would happen with church leaders, because he's frequently saying things like, watch out, be on guard. And you can't always tell because they look all intents and purposes, all the trappings, the bow tie on a stage and a pulpit. And that looks like a preacher. And he says, yeah, but some of them are wolves and they're trying to devour you. And I do think one thing inside the American evangelical industrial complex is that there are a multitude of zombie institutions, hungry all the time and devouring, but not producing life, like a zombie, right? And these zombie institutions that sometimes pastors take on, we become consumed with the institution, the budget and and we forget what was the point of the institution to begin with, but this mission that we're on. And so when the institutional advancement is called under threat, well, then I can ditch the core convictions because I'm not actually here for the direction of the movement or the mission. I'm here for the institution. And whatever I got to do to protect and propagate this institution, I'm going to do it. And, those wokes over there, they keep saying that I should be taxed and you don't get to mess with my money.
Or my guns. Yeah.
And what's the gun for? Protecting my stuff from the bad guys, right? And again, I think it is in Jesus' imagination that every generation will face this in the church. And so seeing hypocritical leaders does, I think rightly, or understandably, I should say, propagate deconstruction and people leaving the church. I get it. I mean, I've got many close friends who are like, I just can't do church anymore. And it's not because of Desert Springs. It's because of, gestures broadly. And I get it. And I don't want to diminish that. I do want to say Jesus did see this coming.
Yeah.
That's good.
We talk about this. So given that, I mean, quoting that verse, it makes it seem like things are going to get worse, potentially.
I think it's always bad.
That's true. That's probably a good way to look at it. I think we've always been in the last days since Jesus left, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, given that though, I mean, is there, given your sense of, I'd be curious to hear you give your sense of where things are going. But then in particular, like, what are takeaways? How should we respond to this? What are things that people should be thinking and doing when it comes to, as I said, we've been talking about Christian nationalism, but more broadly, sort of this pull towards authoritarianism.
In 1939, a German Lutheran pastor named Dietrich Bonhoeffer had left Germany because he had stood against the Nazis. And at the invitation of some of his American and British pastor buddies, they're like, you got to get out of there. And so he's in England when he writes this letter to one of his American counterparts. And he says, I've made a mistake leaving Germany. I've been praying today in this garden, and he names the dude's garden that he's in. And he says, I don't think I should have left. Yeah, I'm going to go back. And he has this line. This is 1939. This is the height of the Nazis' power. Like, no one thinks that they're beatable. And he says, I shall have no right to participate in the rebuilding of Christian life in Germany after the war unless I suffer these trials with my people. What's striking to me is that this man, who was in his 30s, I think, thought that there would be a rebuilding in 1939 in the darkest moments of his people giving themselves over to authoritarian power. In his prayer life in that backyard garden, he was imagining a time when he would be part of a rebuilding or a restoration of Christian witness in a community.
That's wild.
I don't know how long this one will last, but authoritarianism always eats itself alive.
Yeah.
And when that day comes, and may it be in our generation, will church leaders, will church congregants, will those who take the name of Christ be ready to participate in the restoration of Christian witness in our community? Because there's been a ton of damage. There's been deconstruction, people leaving the faith. There will be a season where we will have an opportunity to refresh and revision Christian witness in America. And are we now becoming the kind of people and allowing the Spirit of the living God to shape our character and our communion in the beloved community, so that when that day comes and we're no longer saturated with these toxic and caustic images of church leaders doing horrible things and people in the name of Jesus burning incense on the altar of Caesar, when that day comes that that's not happening, will we be ready to bear a faithful witness? And how will we tell the story of ourselves in this season? And I think that's where my imagination is going over the last couple of years. And I think we can right now, we can't control the authoritarians, but we can control us and our faithfulness in the moments we've been given.
That's good. That's good. Well, Caleb, man, it's been a good conversation. Thank you for blessing us with your presence once again. And yeah, that America hat that thing is tripping.
I have 3 versions.
All same color?
No.
It's apropos for
red, white, and blue.
I wore it. I do have a red, white, and blue one. Yes, of course I do.
Bogey boys. You golf much?
I'm a white, middle-aged evangelical pastor living in Phoenix, Arizona. You ask if I've golfed?
That's not what I asked. I said, do you golf much?
Oh, okay. Not as much as I would like.
But touche.
But good. Well, pick up the book, Disarming Leviathan, so you can get another 10,000 copies.
I'm ready for it, baby.
Good,
help
man.
that help my golf course fees, I guess.
Because they're low now, because it's hot outside.
It's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah. We would like y'all to like, share, comment, subscribe, all of the good stuff. James, why are you laughing at me, man? What's going on, man?
Because your clothes changes been changing lately, so.
It's evolving.
It's going through an evolution.
Maturing.
It's going through an evolution.
You should be more authoritarian.
Now you're making me
Don't do that.
more
We
assertive.
like you. You will click like, subscribe.
That's right.
Or we will come for you.
If you want to be safe, secure our.
If you don't click subscribe, God knows what could happen to you.
Like we always say.
There we go.
Love God, love people. We are out.